What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Screenheads TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, we're going to do a little Star Wars discussion. I know I don't do much Star Wars stuff on the channel, at least not yet. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I grew up with it my whole life. So with Celebration coming out, this past weekend, and then next month is May. May the 4th be with you. Every May, I always do Star Wars movies or series. So one month I did both, and I ended up killing myself watching all those Clone Wars episodes. But with my excitement and anticipation for it, I decided that I'm gonna give you a week of Star Wars Celebration related videos. So it'll all be stuff that either came out of Celebration, or it'll be stuff that's that gave me ideas or predictions for what may go on from Celebration. And then we'll take a week or two off, and then May, we're going to do nothing but Star Wars. Well, not nothing but we're going to do daily Star Wars videos. Every day we'll do Star Wars. And when we're not doing Star Wars videos, even though there'll be one every day, but when we're not focusing on that hardcore, we're going to do Guardians of the Galaxy, which is also very Star Warsy, cosmic, and spacey. They even got a lot of inspiration from Star Wars. And we're going to do Alien Covenant, which may not be Star Wars-esque, but it's definitely, sci-fi space stuff. So we'll do a whole bunch of alien videos also. So the month of May is going to be all space. It's going to be all outer space, cosmic madness. I can't wait. I love talking about this stuff. This is one of my favorite genres, and I'm so excited. So this video, it's just about my excitement, just to get you guys hip to me and my love for Star Wars and how I connect to Star Wars as a person, the way many of you I know connect to Star Wars and love it and make it part of your life as well. So that'll be today's video, and then for the rest of the week we'll do daily videos, all revolving around Celebration and things like that. Okay, so Star Wars, such a big part of my life. I can really show you my whole life through the lens of Star Wars. It's been there through my childhood with the original trilogy, and then, my later teens to early adults with the prequel trilogy, and now, fatherhood, in my 30s, going on 40s, and I have the sequel trilogy and all these spin-off movies now. So, it really does so far span out the whole, my whole life. And it looks like with the plans that they have for Star Wars, it's going to continue to span through my life and maybe even long after my life. So, not only has it been around all that time, it's been a major part of my life. I'm not going to say it's influenced me heavily in how I live my life, but it really has, now that I think about it. So we have the original trilogy. I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, so I grew up on not only seeing it as it was originally presented in the theaters. I don't think I have those copies of the VHS anymore. I do have the remastered ones still. Yes, children, there was something before DVDs, Blu-rays, and digital, and it was called VHS and Beta. Look it up. A lot of fun. So I spent my whole childhood in the 80s watching the original trilogy and even into the 90s. Watched them so many times, I could probably, recite the movies to you backwards. Which I'm not going to do here, maybe in another video. So not only did I watch them and it opened my imagination, but I connected with each character. So, sci-fi and fantasy were always my thing. I loved, growing up, the Lord of the Rings books, and, I love any outer space stuff. And this Star Wars is a combination of fantasy, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones type of stuff, mixed in with space, exploration and space action, sci-fi stuff. And also mixed with just philosophy. There's a lot of ideas that come from philosophers and great minds, of our time and before our time. So I had that connection, and then there was those connections with the characters individually, where it was like Luke and Leia. I always want to be brave like them, and you want to be cool and quick-witted like Han, and you want to be tough and badass like Chewie, and you'll want to be smart and like C3PO and useful like R2D2, and you wanted all of these things growing up as an only child. With not having the closest of family lives. Not that saying it was a bad family life, but it's not like we were best friends as a family. This was my family. These were my friends. These were the people I wanted to be like and I looked up to. I didn't look up to Michael Jordan, I looked up to Luke Skywalker. And, and this is just what it was. This was the way I saw these movies. And it grew me closer to the characters. So I have a great affinity for all the original characters, all the characters throughout the trilogies, but mainly from the first one because that's who I spent the most time with in my life. So I did learn things, and I feel like I learned a lot of my moral compass, and I learned a lot about how, you can't really judge people by their outer shell. Just because someone appears to be bad or appears to be tough or even is bad or is tough, that doesn't mean there's not a goodness or a softness to them. And I learned that from Star Wars, so there was that. It was a teacher for me, and it was a getaway for me also, because I would take those Star Wars toys and I would lose myself in them and create my own adventures and reenact, the adventures from the movies, and I just had so much fun with it. There was a point where I didn't even need the movies on TV and I could play the whole thing out. So, that's how I spent my childhood, And then into my teens, when I started hanging out with a different crowd, maybe a cooler crowd, I still watch Star Wars. I might have been by myself silently without telling anybody, because I grew up in a time where, it wasn't really cool and you would get ridiculed and all that. And I'm not going to lie, I was a child of the times. I didn't want to be ridiculed, so I did keep it a secret in high school that I was a huge Star Wars fan. Now I'm not ashamed to admit it. I wasn't ashamed to admit it when the prequel trilogy came out either. But for the original trilogy, yeah, I didn't tell everybody, and I didn't bring everybody into that part of my life. I don't know why I was so ashamed by it. I guess because it was just looked at as a nerdy thing to do. And, whatever. Kids will be kids, right? All right, so then we move on to the prequel trilogy now. I'm a young adult. I'm 19, 20 years old. I'm working. I'm not really doing school like that. I'm out in the world. And still thinking all the time, wow, I wonder what happened in those Clone Wars, or I wonder who Anakin was before he was Darth Vader, and was Yoda really badass, and what's up with Obi-Wan, what kind of a Jedi was he when he was active, and how did the Emperor get the power that he got to create the Empire? And this prequel trilogy came out and answered all of these questions, so I don't understand a lot of the hate surrounding it. I do agree. This isn't a review of the movies. That'll come later. But I do agree that Jake Lloyd is not the best child actor. And Jar Jar is annoying as hell. Other than that, what was wrong with the movie? It was amazing. So I loved it. And then we got to see a cleaner world and a brighter world. And it just... my imagination of Star Wars, and I don't want to sound like that super fan, but it was so on point with how Lucas presented it and the prequels. It was a cleaner world, a brighter world, a world that seemed happier and more vibrant. And, that's in my 20s, that's how I felt. I was a happier person. I was more vibrant. I wasn't the same shy child that I was. I wasn't so in the closet with my nerdiness. I was more out there. I was more outgoing and a happier and livelier person. And these movies were that too. So I felt like they grew with me as I matured and became this happier, more well-rounded man. The Star Wars movies moved to a lighter, happier tone in a way, until Revenge of the Sith, I guess, but still. And what did I pick up from it? I kind of learned how to deal with my emotions. Again, I don't want to say Star Wars taught me how to live my whole life, but in a way it did, because at this time in my life I did still have a lot of anger and a lot of hatred bottled up in me, and I put on the happy face, and I was really a happy person, but it was still there, the hatred and the anger, and Star Wars kind of helped me let go of that. It kind of helped me be able to release my anger and extinguish it. And how did I do that? How did Star Wars do that? By showing me that my imagination is a valuable tool, because everything that not everything, but many of the things that I envisioned Star Wars to be in the prequels before A New Hope, it was. So I envisioned what George Lucas envisioned. So I figured if I could envision stuff that a great storyteller like Lucas could envision, we're thinking very similar, then my imagination is worth something. Now, granted, I lived my life how I did, can't say that I wasn't a bit of a troublemaker, and maybe I didn't go to school and go hard at writing and using my creativeness. I should have, because since then I've written. Yeah, that sounds like a good writer there, sir. I've written a couple of little pieces of fiction, short stories and whatnot, and I have tons of ideas for movies, TV shows, comics, things like that. I do write them down. I do get writing a little bit, but being a full-time employee and a full-time dad, and then trying to do YouTube, it's kind of hard to fit in time to write. When I was this age, during the prequels, in my 20s, writing wasn't on my agenda. I thought up tons of ideas, but I didn't write them down. I didn't use that time wisely. I wish I had, because now those ideas would probably be fleshed out better on page than they are. But Star Wars opened this up to me, an idea that my imagination and my ideas and my creations could be valued, could be enjoyed by other people. So this leads me to where I'm trying to get my life to, and that's writing fiction and doing this YouTube thing. And I want to start doing skits and maybe reading some of my fiction to you guys. And all of that is from Star Wars, and it teaching me to grow, and it teaching me to let go of the past and let go of the negativity and try and become more of a positive person, which is what the prequel trilogy did for me. And then, now that we have the sequel trilogy, my kids like Star Wars, and now I get to enjoy it, see it with them as a parent, and get them into Star Wars and watch them learn from Star Wars, because I've already taught them many things that I learned from Jedi and from Sith alike. And I've taught them many things that I've learned from these movies. And now that they're old enough to start picking up these lessons on their own from the movies, I can't wait to see them start to learn from Star Wars characters, just as I have. So, as you can see, Star Wars is a huge part of my life, and I love everything they're doing with it, with these spin-off Star Wars story movies. I love this idea, and animation, I'll do a video about that. I got a love-hate thing going on with animated shows. And I'm pretty sure, almost positive, we're going to get some live-action shows too. So I'm so excited for the future of Star Wars and where we're at now. And I can't wait for the month of May to rewatch all the movies and share that with you. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, if I'm going to do reactions or if I'm going to do commentary, or I don't know what I'm going to do, or just reviews and discussions. I'm not really sure yet. But there's going to be some special stuff coming from Star Wars, from Screenheads TV in May. And the Guardians and Alien stuff I'm going to do in May is going to be, good stuff too. It's all going to kind of tie into the Star Wars. We're really going to get spaced out in May. And I'm really excited to share my May the 4th with you guys this year, instead of just, by myself or with my small circle of friends, watching these movies and discussing these movies. So I'm really excited for May. I hope you guys get excited too. We're really going to May the 4th it up. And, going forward, we'll see what we're going to do with Star Wars on the channel. I love Star Wars so much, I could talk about it all day, every day. But I want to make sure that the videos are relevant and they're good topics that aren't just talked to death online, like Rey's parents or who is Snoke. Which, if I see another video about Rey's parents or Snoke, I'm gonna strangle somebody. Watch. Couple of weeks, you'll see me do a video about Rey's parents or Snoke. Alright, that's it for this video. Much longer than I wanted. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Hopefully you liked the video, and maybe you saw some of my connections with you. And your connections, and maybe we have a connection based on that. Hit me up in the comments, man. Let me know. Let me know what you feel about Star Wars and Star Wars Celebration and this video, my feelings towards the franchise, and give me your feelings towards the franchise. Like, share, subscribe. Help me grow, people. I can't do it without you. Thanks again for watching the video. And, yep, that's it for this one. You guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.